Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the show Nigerian Constitution and Your Right. Nigerian Constitution, Know Your Right. It's a show powered by the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time, or 3 p.m. U.S. Central Time, or 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. Wherever you're joining us from today, we'll say welcome, whether you're in Nigeria or in diaspora. We're happy to have you here today. Please stay engaged and share this video and make sure we have more Nigerians watching and learning the content of our Constitution. And today's program, we have in the studio with me Barrister Joseph Tendo Baggio. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Hello to Nigerians.
Yeah, good day, good afternoon, good morning, fellow Nigerians, wherever you're listening to us from. As Dr. Ike mentioned, I'm Joseph Temdo Baggio. I'm a legal practitioner based here in Nigeria. I'm also the secretary of the Nigerian Bar Association here in Makurdi, Benue State, Nigeria, West Africa.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And today's topic is going to be focused on the judicial powers. We have been in this series trying to describe the various branches of government, the executive, the legislative, and judicial. We started off with the legislative, and we did the executive, and now we're talking about the judicial. So when we talk about the judicial is all about the court system in Nigeria. So I'll yield the floor to the good barrister. That is his habitat. So tell us, what should Nigerians know about the judicial branch of government? What should Nigerians know?
Well, let me start with the phrase that they said, judiciary. The judiciary is the last hope of the common man. So taking it off from there, it means Section 6 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has created the arm of government called the Judiciary or the Judicial Arm. And it is saddled with the responsibility to adjudicate or perhaps interpret the laws made by the National Assembly, or interpret the actions, inactions, or commission or omissions of actions of the executive. So that is the role of the judiciary. And at the federal level, they can do that either at the superior courts we have, could be the Supreme Court, could be the Court of Appeal, it could be the Federal High Courts, or it could be the National Industrial Court, which is created through the Third Alteration Act, which amended Section 256 to include Section 254 to include Section 254, paragraph C, that established the National Industrial Court. Then at the state level, it could be the State High Court or the lower court. So by and large, what we should know about the judiciary is that, yes, it's the hope of the common man that we all know that it is the only place that you go and your issue will be placed on the imaginary scale and without fear or favor, and justice be determined. But by and large, constitutionally, they provide interpretation, they adjudicate on the laws made by the National Assembly, and also give interpretations to the actions or inactions or omissions and commissions of the executive arm. So that's just briefly the role of the judiciary and where they derive their power from.
Well, thank you very much for that beautiful explanation. So we started by saying that it has to do with you explained the different codes, even the industrial code was just amended recently in section 254, I believe what you said. So hierarchy, it seems there are hierarchy to the court system, right? And the hierarchy, the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the highest court of the land, right? The Supreme Court of Nigeria is the highest court of the land. So I'm going to read out the order in which the Constitution highlighted the courts. Number one is the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Number two is the Court of Appeal. Number three is the Federal High Court. Number four is the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Number five is the High Court of a state. Number six is the Sharia Court of Appeal of the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Number seven is the Sharia Court of Appeal of a state. The number eight is the Customary Court of Appeal of the Federal Capital Territory. And then number nine is the Customary Court of Appeal of the state. And then number 10 is other courts. So I guess the industrial court will fall under other courts. So if you look at this hierarchy, if you follow it as it's written or as nominally written, you will think that the Sharia court is higher than the customary court. Am I correct to say so? Barrister Joseph.
Say it again.
Am I correct to say that like you see how I listed them in order? The Supreme Court,
I got you. Yeah, I got you on that.
So does that mean that the Sharia court is higher than the customary court?
Well, it all depends, but taking it from the approach, from the top to bottom.
Yeah.
Now, those courts, as you have mentioned, there are some that we refer to them as court of coordinate jurisdiction, meaning they have the same jurisdiction with the other ones. Now, and they also have their roles. They have the role, they have their jurisdiction. There are powers to which there are cases they can entertain, there are cases they cannot entertain. Now, the Federal High Court, for instance, by section 251, all the jurisdictions of the Federal High Court is listed in section 251 to include even fundamental rights issues against any government agencies. So an appeal from the Federal High Court will move to the Court of Appeal and to the Supreme Court in that order. That is the hierarchy. And the appeal from the Court of Appeal will move to the Supreme Court. That is also the hierarchy. Then, where you have the National Industrial Court, for instance, which is a creation of section 254, paragraph C, through the Third Alteration Act of 2010, which created the National Industrial Court. Of course, that is where the right of every citizen to pension and employment is being taken care of. So, because when it comes to issue of pension, for instance, section 210 of the Constitution has made pension a constitutional right of every citizen. And the National Industrial Court is the only court with the power to determine that. That is one. An appeal from that will also lie to the Court of Appeal on issues where there are occasions of lack of fair hearing. Then, when you come to customary courts, every state of Nigeria, all the 36 states of Nigeria, they all have customary court. They all have a court in charge of taking customary issues. So now, where it is mentioned, other courts, that is the customary court of appeal, we take appeals from all those area courts or customary courts within those jurisdictions, you know, on that subject matter, and that can also proceed to the Supreme Court, as the case may be. But where you see Sharia Court of Appeal or Sharia Court, they only apply to states that are enforcing Sharia laws. It does not cover the 36 states of the Federation. So for states that are enforcing or practicing Sharia or enforcing Sharia law, as the case may be, we have matters from all their Sharia local court being taken to the Sharia court. So that's how the hierarchy is categorized.
That brings to the next question. So since Sharia court are usually in the court in the states, mostly the northern state, where the Sharia law is practiced, does that mean that Sharia court replaces a customary court in that state, in those states, or they're still there in tandem? They both have Sharia court as well as customary court in those northern states.
Yes, of course, they have both Sharia courts and the customary courts. But the only thing is that the Sharia court will only apply Sharia laws.
Okay.
It will only apply Sharia law. That is why if you go to some of the northern states that are practicing Sharia law or they are enforcing Sharia law, you find Sharia courts, they are always presided .
Network issue. I think okay. Well, thank you very much for that explanation. There is where I read, they say in practice that the magistrate court, the customary court, and the Sharia court are in the same level in practice. So is that a correct statement?
Exactly.
Okay. Just want to make sure. All right.
Yes. Yes. Like if you go to some of the southern states, right?
Yes.
Some of the southern states, you won't see area court. But if you come to the northern state, you see area courts. Some of the southern states, you see customary courts, but you will not see area courts. Good. Then the magistrate courts are across all the states. All the states, they have magistrate court, because you cannot say all matters, like Lagos, for instance, any matter that is not above 10 million can be taken to the magistrate court, for instance. And so it is across other states. They also have monetary jurisdiction, and they also have territorial jurisdiction too. The essence of this is to have justice come close to the people. That is the philosophy behind it, to have justice close to the people. Unfortunately, as beautiful as this sound, that yes, you have this magistrate court, you have this court on there. Most of those courts are in the sorry states. They are not infrastructures to be called a court at all.
That was why I was laughing. That was why I was laughing when you talk about justice close to the people. I was just laughing. I said, they have bastardized our court system that there is no justice to the common man. And it's not close to the common man.
It's quite unfortunate. The judge or the magistrate sitting there himself, there is no fulfillment in terms of his emolument, in terms of incentive, in terms of vehicle support and all of that. It's not just there.
All right. All right. Thank you very much. I'm just going to read an extract of the Constitution so that you know that what we're talking about, Section 6 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. It says, the judicial powers of the Federation shall be vested in the courts to which the section relates, being courts established for the Federation. So that's it. And the section relates and the branches of courts. That was a time, the 9 codes that are listed earlier. I'm not going to list them again. And then under subsection 2, you mentioned the judicial powers of the state shall be vested in the court to which this section relates to, being established subject to provided by the Constitution for a state. So you see, there's federal court and there are state courts, and then there are customary courts or magistrate courts and other courts, which in example of other court is the industrial court. Okay, and that is that. I think the good barrister is having a network issue. But we are pretty much at the tail end of today's show. So we are at the tail end of today's show. As soon as the barrister comes in, he's trying to reconnect. As soon as he reconnects, then we'll have a closing remark and end the show. Are you there, Barrister Joseph?
Yeah, right. Sorry, I got some interruptions.
Yeah, the network connection.
So, I was saying that it's quite unfortunate that the executive paid lip service to the infrastructure and the emolument of the judiciary. And that is why you keep hearing judiciary going on strike and all of that. So it's quite unfortunate. So that independence is not really there to guarantee adequate justice. The infrastructure is not there for them to actually dispense that justice very well. And I think it's a strong advocacy that civil society, individual, corporate organization, as well as professional body can begin to engage our judiciary, our executive with. That we have come to that point that for us to have justice, then the independence of the judiciary should not be overemphasized or should not be compromised. And on that note, I say, let's not lose faith in spite of all these challenges, in spite of all these shortcomings. Our court system, in spite of all, some of the judges are actually doing well. So people should not be afraid to go to court. There are hierarchies. If you are not satisfied with the court of first instance, you can move to the appellate courts and be rest assured that in all of these hierarchies, certainly the one of the court will give the proper interpretation to your issue.
All right. Thank you very much, good barrister. All right, my brothers and sisters in Nigeria, we embark on this series talking about the arms of government or the branches of government. And we say we have 3 arms of government in Nigeria: the legislative, which in a sense is the first arm of government. You have the executive, which is the one that wield the powers and the law. And then we have the judicial, which is the one that interprets the law. So we have, in this series, we have gone through, today concludes those 3 arms of government. We'll start with legislative. On 2nd of August, we dealt with that. On the 9th of August, we dealt with the executive arm of government. And this show, pre-recorded show that is going to be aired on the 16th of August is tackling the judicial arm of government. These 3 arms of government are supposed to be independent of each other. They have their powers and their role spelled out for them in the Constitution, as you have seen, we have tackled in these 3 weeks. Legislative powers are seen in Section 4 of the Constitution, chapter 1 of our Constitution. And then the executive power, in the same chapter 1, you see section 5 talks about the executive power. And today we're talking about the judicial branch, which is also in chapter 1, section 6. Independently, they're supposed to be, but unfortunately, that is not our reality yet. I said yet because I'm a hopeful Nigerian. I'm a hopeful Nigerian, and I'm hopeful that tomorrow will be better. We can build a better nation, but it will have to be in partnership. Me and you, as Nigerians, will have to be in partnership to build this better Nigeria that we want to see, and to make sure that these arms of government are truly independent. Okay. And I think what will make them truly independent is if the judicial work. If judicial work, it will truly help a great deal. Because as the good barrister said in his opening statement, that the judicial is the last hope of the common man. And I am a common man. And I'm sure you that is listening out there is a common man or woman. So we need our last hope to actually work. But what we have seen, as the good barrister alluded to, is that the head of this court, which are supposed to be the judges, are not well, let me just say, they're not well paid. And there's a saying that whoever pays the piper dictates the tune. You see, the executive branch is way much better paid than the judicial branch. And the legislators are even way much paid compared to the judges, who are the heads of the courts, which are the heads of the judicial branch of government. So we need to work towards and ensure that our judges are well paid, and that their account or their budget, their finances is separate, that they are in charge of their finances, so that we cannot have the conundrum of whoever pays the piper dictating the tune. So that is a start. And also one other thing is that in the judicial system, we'll have the bench and we'll have the bar. The bench are the judges who are the head of the court. And the bar is like my good friend, the good barrister, Joseph, he is the bar. So from what I know, I think there is not quite a good coordination or synergy between the bench and the bar. And I believe that that needs to be improved upon. There needs to be improvement in the relationship between the bench and the bar. I think if these things I've mentioned are addressed head on, I think we'll have a better judicial system, and in domino effect, a better government overall, because the judicial will make sure they interpret the law accurately and make sure that the legislative make better laws, and make sure that executive are held accountable for not implementing the law as has been interpreted by the judicial branch. Over to you, the good barrister. I'll give the floor to you to give your closing remark as we end today's show.
Well, I want to thank you for the opportunity, just to encourage Nigerians that in spite of the faulty nature of the judiciary, through the inadequacies of the executive, it's not for us to lose hope in the judiciary in its entirety, because, like I said, there are hierarchies of these courts. So Nigerians should not be afraid of going to courts. Nigerians should not be afraid of seeking interpretation. Nigerians should not be afraid of using the courts to challenge the excesses of government, as the case may be, because, like it or not, the judiciary still remains the hope of the common man.
Thank you very much. Thank you, good barrister, and always good to have you here. And once again, this is Nigerian Constitution and Your Right. Nigerian Constitution, Know Your Right. It's the show powered by the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria. It is aired on 3 platforms: YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Nigerian time, 3 p.m. US Central Time, or 4 p.m. US Eastern Time. Please keep joining us every Tuesday, and keep sharing and bring more people to join you to learn about this important subjects in our Constitution 1999 as amended. And this is where I leave you. Until next time, I remain your humble host, Edmund DK. Bye.